Good morning, my friends. Okay, if you haven't watched this little space renovation, I'm going to link it below. But Brian and I came out here this morning and we were making our list of things that we wanted to get accomplished in the garden and also just having a moment, having a quiet cup of coffee. And it is so freaking lovely. It is lovely back here. And I can just tell from the moments that I've sat here and I've looked down on the cut flower garden, I just know this is a space that is going to kind of like serve its intended purpose and more. So, all that having been said, I've made a to-do list. This video is going to be a little bit of everything. And here's the scoop. When you were a gardener, I don't ever think that we're like, okay, today we will do this one activity. I think that's such a load of hocus pocus, and I see a lot of that online. And some days in the garden, you're getting a little bit of everything done. So I'm going to run you through the list of things that I need to get done in my garden. Okay, we need to, first and foremost, I need to do a little bit of work up in the parterre. I need to tie up my peas. I'm planting the cucumbers right in front of them because as soon as those peas go over, the cucumbers are going to take their place. Next, I have, oh my gosh, cleaning up the bulb foliage is so long overdue. It's looking scraggly out in that front border, so I'm going to get that done. Next, I need to come back in the cut flower garden and do some work. Specifically, I need to pinch back some of my dahlias. I actually have a couple that are already setting bloom. And so, I'm going to have to get brave. I'm going to have to cut those back. But it needs to be done because the long-term goal is big, beautiful blooms. And that's what we're going for. So we're keeping the goal. The next thing is I'm actually going to pinch back half of my snapdragons and I will go over that methodology. I have a row that I'm ready to re-weed. So we did the initial weeding and now we need to come back and do another round and add some compost. And if time permits, I'm going to throw some zinnias and cosmos in the ground. All that having been said, we've got our to-do list. It's a little bit of a get it all done in the garden. So let's jump in. So before we head up to the parterre, I do need to swing you around. And here's the scoop. I believe that your garden almost feels the most successful and your plants are the most happy when they start commingling together. It's almost like the plants in your garden become friends, and then they're like hanging out. They're like homies. Okay, so I need to show you some cuteness. Okay, first of all, I put this over on Instagram. Can we take a moment for my kiss and callas? Is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen? If this isn't plants loving on each other, I don't know what is. And then here's the other thing. Look at this. So I just planted this, maybe 5 days ago. And look at this. Already my senecio, my little verbena is popped up right here in the middle. My petunia is making its way in. Like, this is what I mean. Look at this. The vinca's all the way down here, or excuse me, the verbena's all the way down here beneath my tattoo cherry vinca. And I just feel like this is how you know your plants are happy. They're like making friends. Making friends. Even over here, look at this eucalyptus just weaving in between this sweet little petunia. It makes my heart sing. Oh, it's already pushed out lateral growth. You guys, this has been in a pot. How many days? 4 days? Holy cow. We already have lateral branching. I didn't even fertilize these guys yet. We got work to do. Okay, would you look at this harvest? And actually, I see one more. So these ones, so just if you've never grown peas before, these ones are the Oregon snow pea. They're a little bit more funky, a little bit more lobed. These ones always come on earlier for me and they stay shorter. These other ones, this is your traditional sugar snap pea. This is like a sugar daddy. There's all sorts of varieties, but these ones are much fatter and they come on for me a little bit later. And these ones will also grow taller. They vine taller. Obviously, tons of peas, certainly more than our family can eat in a single sitting. So we are going to share this with neighbors as well. All right, next on my docket, now that I've lightened the pea load here, I am going to kind of corral these a little bit more. I feel like my net just didn't do its job this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my jute twine and I'm gonna circle it all the way around because the goal is I wanna put my cucumbers in the ground right in front of where I have the peas growing. So as soon as these go over, I mean, you can see right here, we already have some yellowing of more yellowing of the leaves. As soon as these go over, I want my cucumbers to be off to the races already and ready to be trellised vertically. So let's do it. So for this next garden task, I have my little dram snips, which are some of my favorites to use. And I just have some jute twine. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go do a whole round robin around the peas. So I'm gonna start by tying it off on one end of my fair trellis, and then I'm literally gonna wrap this all the way around. So this might not be the most graceful gardening I've ever done, but we're gonna get after it. Whew, okay, looking good. I'm gonna go around again. Okay, my friends, here is our next project. I have two different cucumbers that I'm going to put in. This first one is a lemon cucumber. This one I grow almost every single year because they are the perfect like single serve cucumber, and my boys love cucumbers. So we will eat multiple of these every single day. I'm not even kidding. This next one is a newer variety to me called Calypso, and it is a pickling variety. And I want to see if I can grow my own pickling cucumbers. Typically I don't, but I want to give it a go this year. And this kind of follows my 80-20 rule. I have 80% things that I know, I love, and then 20% are always a wild card. So anyways, these are gonna go in the ground. But before I do that, I need to show you. Okay, you guys, literally overnight, every single one of my bush beans has popped up. I always plant really heavily when it comes to beans because the birds get after about half of them. So you can see I'm missing one there, I'm missing one here. So I'm probably gonna dig and transplant a few of these, but you guys, I feel like, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but every time a seed germinates and comes up like this, I just am like, there's Mother Nature being Mother Nature, doing her thing. Like this always strikes me as a miracle. Just, it never fails. Okay, let's get some cucumbers in the ground. Oh my gosh. These the roots even smell like a cucumber. That is wild.
All right, tied up the peas, planted the cucumber row. Next step, cleaning up the bulb foliage. Woof. Okay, let's hit it. So friends, if you are new to the bulb game, you really want to, after your flowers are done blooming, what you can see is I've cut off all of their heads here. I feel like a Queen of England. Off with their heads. You cut off all their heads. Next step, you want this foliage to die back. Now, I've taken this clearly to an extreme, but the goal is you want this plant to photosynthesize, send energy back to the bulbs so that next year you have an amazing display. I have let that go on far too long. These things are past their prime. All photosynthesis has taken place. So we're removing. Now here's the scoop. I could have left these up in my garden, say like a month and a half after they bloomed. You really just want them yellowing and starting to die back. Like these ones, do you see how it's like the color's gone out of it? It's starting to look a little bit lifeless. This is crispy critter. We don't need to wait this long. You can easily wait more like in this range of things, but you basically want at least half of the foliage to be browning out. And essentially all you're gonna wanna do is I like to take my snips and go just below my mulch and give it a good little snip. And then they're all tucked in and ready to bloom next year. Okay, do you guys ever walk into a super obvious part of your garden only to discover just like a giant monster weed? Like, I do not know how this escaped unnoticed, but clearly this front border is lacking in attention. Okay, so cleaned up bulb foliage. And next we are on to pinching our dahlias and pinching snaps. So boom, here we go. I'm going to take you in close, and I'm not going to pinch every single dahlia in these rows. I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain my methodology for pinching my dahlias, when to know that you're ready. And then of course, if you have multiple dahlias like I do, know that it's kind of like people. We're all ready in our own time. So let's hit it. I'm going to take you in close over here. All right, my friends. So this is a dahlia called Bloomquist York. This was a little trade that I did with a friend of mine, Alicia. And I wanted to show this one because I feel like it's just so simple and easy to see. What I've discovered about dahlias that they don't kind of talk about is some produce really a strong single stem, and then others are more inherently branching. But the long and the short of it is this Bloomquist is a very tall, slender beauty, and we want to pinch out the center. So this guy already is probably, I don't know, maybe almost 1.5 feet tall. And so I've gone too long, but I'm going to break it down. When your dahlias are about 8 inches tall, that is when you can begin to pinch them back. Pinching simply refers to removing the center of your dahlia, because if you don't do that, you end up with just this beefy broom handle in here and not as many stems. We want double the blooms, and so we're going to pinch these out. Essentially, here's what you want to do. I like to leave about 3 to 4 sets of leaves. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to leave this 4th one just because I don't want it to be so dramatic. You're going to come in, and this is where, again, my drams come in really handy. You're going to come in with your little pruners. You're going to go down in here, and you are going to simply snip, all right? Now, if you've never grown dahlias before, you might not know that they have kind of this hollow stem, and this center will keep growing and growing and growing and become very, very thick. So what we've done essentially is by removing this, we are doubling our blooms that we're going to receive. So I'm going to take you down the line, and we're going to go one by one and get it all done. I'm going to show you one more dahlia. This is a dahlia called River Dance. This is actually a variety that, you know, I actually don't think it's very easy to get your hands on these. This was passed on by another person who was a dahlia lover. So again, we've got our giant broomstick handle here. We're going to go down in the center, and I can see, let's see here from the bottom, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of leaves. And there's 2 schools of thought. You can do 4 sets of leaves, or you can take out the top 3 to 4 inches once it achieves about 8 to 12 inches in height. I'm going to eyeball this. I know how this behaves naturally. This is more of a branching variety, so it's naturally going to bush out. So I'm going to come in here, and I think I'm actually going to take it down pretty far. So I'm going to clip this little guy out. And so this is what I have removed. And this is, like I said, this is Riverdance. It's an incredible dahlia. Has this really deep bronzy foliage that's super just serrated and cool. And then this one actually over here, I don't know if you can see this, but from this tuber, this is a much more mature tuber. It's actually sent out 2 main stalks. This little guy, I'm just gonna pinch out the very tip of him. There we go. So this is all that I'm going to take out of that other one. Now, the other thing that I do in my garden is once I have pruned and pinched out the center, I actually move my plant label. Actually, this plant label broke. I move my plant label in front, and that lets me know that this one has already been pinched back. Okay, I'm going to set you up, and we're going to get after the rest of these. This is where it gets really hard. Do you see that? It's about to bloom, but I know what is to come, and so, whew, sacrifices must be made. I know I'm about ready to make some of you cry, but she's getting a haircut, a real aggressive one. This is the Cafe Ol Dalia. Oh gosh, look at those bees, that I picked up at Fred Meyer. And this has not been pinched back. And so essentially what we have is we have these giant stalks that, quite frankly, I could end up like losing one of them because they're so heavy. So I am going to bring these inside my house and enjoy them after I trim these back, but you're going to see me go real aggressive. Now, I'm not going to take it all the way down, but I am going to take this guy that far down. I'm probably, well, this guy's done. These guys are going to come inside with me. And I think I might leave this one just for the time being because it is just pushing out new blooms. Remove this guy. Yeah, so you can see here, do you see how these are already coming out? So I could take this all the way down here. I'm going to enjoy this bloom for another couple days, and then I'm going to come down and snip it. But this guy, you can see I've already enjoyed this bloom for a really long time. So I'm going to come down here, and this is where I'm going to branch from. Gorgeous. All right. I think I'm going to enjoy these for just a little bit longer, but these cuties I'm taking inside. Friends, welcome to the Snapdragon row. Now, I have planted my Snapdragons a little bit late this year, and so I am going to do something a little different. The first 2 rows, so the first 6 plants here, I am not going to pinch back. What this means is these will send out a bloom first. The next several rows here, so 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, so first 2 rows, I'm not pinching. Next 4 rows, I'm going to pinch back. And here's why. These guys are going to send out a singular bloom stalk first. Once they are bloomed, I'm going to cut them deep, and they will then start producing their lateral branches. This next little batch here, while these ones are busy being pinched back, these ones will have their first flush coming on. And because I've pinched these back, they're going to send out a ton more lateral branches and therefore twice as many blooms. All right, so we're going to dig in. Again, first 2, I'm not pinching back. The subsequent 4, I am. Friends, let me teach you how to pinch these back. Essentially, you're going to wait until your Snapdragon is about 6 inches tall, and then you are going to cut it back to the first, I would say, 3 or 4 sets of leaves. So right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get here, make your snip, and then you have a choice. You can either actually stick this in a little bit of rooting hormone and see if it can grow some roots, and then you double your crop of snapdragons, or you can pitch this. I am out of room in my cut flower garden, so I'm actually just gonna throw this away, but that is an option for you if you'd like to do so. Ugh. You guys, I got in a groove and I started snipping all these royals back. All right, I'm gonna snip the first 4 rows here and then skip the last 2. So frustrating. Okay, we have pinched back the dahlias, pinched back the snaps, and I think the last thing I'm gonna get to today, because I need to go inside and do lunch for the kiddos, I'm gonna skip Fertilizer Friday. We have a bunch of really hot temps coming in, and so I'm gonna skip the fertilizer, but I am going to pinch back the cosmos in the front pots. All right, I'm just gonna check it off right now. Dang, that feels good. So much better. Well, thank you for coming along on a nice little work day in the garden. And like I mentioned, sometimes as a gardener, it isn't these big activities. It's all of the small things that add up to a gorgeous garden. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one. And in the meantime, please say hello to your garden for me. I had to eat it. It had the top broken off. I had to eat it.